Hello everybody, this is Fronto Bobby and welcome to a behind the scenes video. I've now decided that since Bill and Ted videos will be coming to a close on this channel for at least half a year, I'm going to show you how I made season 2 and 3 of said series. However, I'm not going to be covering how I made season 1 of said series in this video, as then I use a different method than what I did for season 2 and 3. But if demands are high, I might make a separate video on that for those with lower end computers and tighter budgets. With that said, let's get into it. To start, I'm going to list out all the programs I use for the creation. The first and most important program that I use is Train Simulator 2020. If you don't know about this game, it's one where you can drive trains, build routes, make scenarios, and more. For what this game is, it's pretty solid and usable, but it does have its limitations, and it can get pricey, but I still recommend it. And of course, it can be used as a film tool. Second program I use is OBS Studio, a freeware program that can be used for recording or live streaming. I use this program a lot, but for this case, it's used for getting all of the in-game footage needed to bring this series to life. Third program is Audacity. I don't use it very much for this series, but I still use it now and again for recording lines, or soundtrack from the internet. Fourth program is Sony Vegas 12. This is where the vast majority of the editing is done. It's very good for stuff like this, and it's miles better than Windows Movie Maker. Fifth program is Paint.net. This is a program that can be used for creating artwork. For this case, I use it for superimposing faces or signs into the video footage. I'll go into better detail about how this is done later in the video. And finally, Windows Live Movie Maker. Now for Season 1, this is what I use to put the videos together. For Season 2, however, it is used for nothing more than the title and end credit scenes. I do this because it speeds up the process of creating these scenes, as I'm not quite sure how to do this in Sony Vegas 12. Now that's covered, I can go over the entire process of making one single short, or the entire season. This is a step-by-step process. The first step is writing the script. This is where the initial idea for a short starts, and all of the brainstorming is done. I write these using either Notepad on my iPad or Google Docs. It doesn't matter where I write it though. The idea for a short usually comes from a source of some kind, either from something that happened in my life or on the internet. On occasion I do take story ideas from Domtron or Russell as well. Then I take that story idea and turn it into the story itself, which becomes the script. Once the script is ready, then it's on to the next step, which is recording. The way that this happens might be different than how most people do it. What happens is that me, Domtron, and Russell all get into a Hangouts or Discord call. Then I launch OBS and hit the record button. Alongside that I post the script into the chat so Domtron and Russell can read it as well. Once everything is set to go, we read out the script and act out our lines. Of course, sometimes we mess up, so whenever that happens, we always go back a bit and redo the messed up line correctly. That's for regular lines though. For the sing as seen in shorts 19 and 21, it's slightly different. What we do here is enter the voice chat on Discord. Then I bring in the music bot so whatever song is being sung can be heard by Domtron or Russell. On my end, however, the music bot is muted, so I can capture the voice of Domtron or Russell exclusively and add in the soundtrack in the editing process. Beyond that, everything else is done the same way. To add, the recording process for guests like Thunderbolt 1000 is different from that, but what you would expect. I would simply send the lines and then receive the audio files containing the lines recorded to be added in editing. Once every single necessary line is recorded successfully, it's on to filming. Now before I actually hit the record button, I enter the scenario editor. Either that or I make a new scenario if I'm filming on a route that doesn't already have one. Then I set the time of day and season. Then I place whatever trains are being seen in the short accordingly. Of course it's important that if a train is going to be moving, I put it into position. Once all of the trains are ready, I enter the game and get every single shot that I can. Now for a few recommendations, if you're getting a static shot, I suggest that you hold that shot for 10 to 15 seconds. You only need 1 or 2 10-second shots for each character though, as you can use the same clip over and over. For moving trains, or trains that are pulling in, it's easier to make them do what you want them to do by making them an AI train. This can be done in the scenario editor like this. It's usually a simple process. If you need to stop a train in a specific place, you can always place down a marker in the scenario editor wherever there isn't an already existing marker. However, if a train is stopping where there is an already existing marker that can't be moved, then the next best thing to do is to just drive the train yourself and stop it where it needs to. Another thing, if a short is slightly complicated, then you'll find yourself going back into the scenario editor to rearrange trains or change the time of day. Of course, don't be fooled into thinking that this is a bad thing. I did this a lot while filming Season 2. So that pretty much covers filming. At this point we have enough sources to start putting together a near complete short. So now we move on to editing. This is where Sony Vegas 12 comes in. There's a step-by-step process in itself, so I'll lay down the basics first. First thing I do is bring in the lines. Then I prepare them for when I bring the footage in. This begins the tedious process of editing out any mistakes or dead air.
Ted, you and your pet big boy have caused. Ted, you and your pet big boy have caused confusion.
Once lines are precisely edited to a point where they are usable, then I bring in all of the footage/clips. Then I bring in each clip one by one, in the order that they are supposed to appear on screen according to the script. Of course, I precisely place and cut each clip and put it into its proper position. Once the bulk of the short is put together with the lines and footage all stitched together, then I edit the volume levels on the tracks to make sure the short sounds good. The specific sound setting that I recommend is -15 to -20 decibels on the volume track for the game footage. I would also recommend clicking on the volume track containing the lines and then pressing V on the keyboard to precisely raise or lower the volume accordingly so the volume itself is consistent and isn't too loud or too quiet in certain parts of the video. Once that's taken care of, we can quickly open up Windows Live Movie Maker to make our title and end credit scenes. This process is really easy, so I'll just show a quick demonstration. Once we've created those, we can insert them into the video accordingly. And now we have a complete Bill and Ted short. However, one thing that I suggest you do is after the video is rendered, you should watch the video back before uploading it to YouTube. This is so you can check for any editing errors you may have missed while editing the video itself. If you do find any errors, then the best thing to do is to go back into your .vec file where you edited your video and correct the errors that you found, and then render it and check again. Once your video is ready, then you can upload to YouTube. And that's it! That's the entire process of making a basic Bill and Ted short from start to finish. So now that I've gone over the basic editing process, I'm now going to show you some of the party tricks that I used to really enhance some scenes in Season 2 and 3. The first party trick came into use in Short 11, not even 1 minute into Season 2. This is where I did some interesting things to show the resulting crash of Big Boy banging the coaches. It only requires some scenario editing and video editing. To start, when I'm in the game, I drive Big Boy into the coaches. On impact, the game sends me into the spinning camera where I quickly survey the wreck before the game brings up the game over error. It's very important that I look at the wreck for a reason you'll find out in a moment. After this, I get sent back to the main menu where from there I can go into the scenario editor. Then I look back at the footage that I captured when Big Boy banged the coaches. Doing this, I can get a good idea at how the crash finished. Once I know that, I then bring in 2D versions of the same coach. These 2D coaches are like building assets, so I can place them wherever I want. In this case, I placed them in almost the same exact place where the coaches wound up after the initial derailment. Then of course, I get all of the shots I need. Then when I get around to editing, I simply hard cut from right before the game goes into the spinning camera after banging the coaches to a wider shot showing the result of the derailment. Another party trick that I use is not exactly a party trick, but it's still useful in making a series feel more authentic. This came into use starting in Short 12, being reskins. Now if you don't already know what reskins are, they are alternative paint schemes for trains or any asset. However, a reskin is usually downloaded from the internet from a third-party source. However, in Bill and Ted, that can vary. Reskins as seen in Bill and Ted can range from reskins that are downloaded and used without any modifications, downloaded but modified to work better for the plot, or reskins that are made by me or downloaded from the ground up. Reskins in general can help a lot with making your series view more authentic, rather than just sticking with the default content. If you're wondering how to make your own reskin or download one from the internet, that's a whole other topic which can take quite a bit of explaining, so I suggest that you do some research of your own to find out more. The next party trick came into use in Short 13. This is where I was able to superimpose an alternative facial expression on Percy. This trick is actually pretty easy, and this is where Paint.net comes in. I started out by taking a screenshot of the static clip where Percy is supposed to be seen with another facial expression. Then I download an image of a Percy face pack from the internet. Then I open Paint.net and load both of these up. Then I select the screenshot of Percy and create a new layer that goes above it. Then I select the image containing the face pack. I take whatever face I need and then do some fancy stuff to remove any overflow and make it look good. Once I've done that, I select it, press Ctrl C to copy it, and then select the screenshot of Percy again, and make sure I paste the copied face onto the right layer. Once I've done that, I move the new facial expression around until it covers the entire default facial expression. Then after some time doing that, I delete the layer that contains the screenshot of Percy. This is so that only the new face is visible. Then I save the image as a PNG file. When you do this, you must also save the new image as a PNG file for a reason that you'll find out in a moment. Once I save the image, I go back into Vegas and load in the new image. Then I insert a new video track. Make sure that your new video track is above the game footage. Then I bring in the new image and precisely place it and cut it into its proper position. And that's it to doing this trick. You can see why it's important to save the image as a PNG file, because there's no background. The next party trick, while not exactly a party trick, came into use in Short 14, where Roger was chasing after Bill and Ted. This sequence up until Roger crashed into the bumpers was a painted film. With this scene, timing is everything, as I shall explain. Both Roger and Bill and Ted are AI trains in some shots, but since they're moving with each other, it's important to get all of the timing right so that it looks good. In other shots, however, I'm driving either Roger or Bill and Ted. This is so I can get shots of their fronts as they're talking. Since I'm driving them, I also have to line them up so it looks believable. I do this by starting them at 0 in Penn Station. Then after a certain period of time of when whichever one is the AI train starts, I follow it. And of course, once I get all of my shots, I do some slick editing to make it all look like a true chase. This process can be time consuming and might give you a headache, but just keep persisting and you'll most likely get a good result in the end. So that's all of the party tricks that I'll be showing for today. If you have any questions about anything I went over in this video, feel free to put them in the comments section. There are some other party tricks that I left out, but if you would like me to make a part 2 showing those party tricks and answering some other questions about this, then maybe I will if the demand is high. With that said, I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you in whatever I make next.